Hello. A bit of a different kind of video for this one. Um, I've chosen not to record the early game. It's not really relevant because in this video I want to ramble a bit about the burning burns distilling strategy. This one in particular is not something which I've seen in other distilling videos or live streams. Um, to be honest, I kind of understand why. Uh, but before we go over that, perhaps I should first mention that this is more for the ultimate plus level of distilling. So if you're legendary or below, and by the end of the clip, if you still feel that this is not viable for you, I don't think you need to be too concerned. Um, Not something that you need to worry about necessarily. In fact, it's probably something which you can't afford to be thinking about, at least until Ultimate. But that being said, um, I still believe that the earlier you try to practice it, the better. Because burning burns does require having a good sense of how the white pieces move and how they interact among other white pieces, which takes a bit of time to be honest. And even at the top level, we kind of take it for granted. So, okay, if you look at this current board, right? I think we can safely say we will burn everything up to this point, and then everything on the left has a fair chance of making it into endgame. But because there are no spices here, that should signal to us that we want to burn a couple of whites. We can probably go further to burn, let's say we do four, right? So we know that with this four, we are supposed to generate two burn pieces, or another way of looking at it is we are going to consume two of our future white spawns for junk pieces. Essentially, what we're doing is prolonging the mid game with the hope or the objective of generating more spices. I'm not going to go into why spices are good, but as to why we are not already playing like this, I think it's just a fear of the burn pieces. Like in this case, with two burn pieces, we fear that the best case scenario can only be CC10 minus 2, right? Um, but that's not really correct because that's merely a consequence of not knowing how to burn off the burns. So if you try to shuffle them like this, um, sorry, let me work through the ending. Um, yes, something like that, right? Um, Clearly needs a bit of work, but I think we can see that it can be done with minimal effort. We can indeed burn off the burns, meaning to say there's really no penalties in generating as many burn pieces as we want. Um, I haven't looked at the numbers. Honestly, I'm a bit lazy. Um, but it feels like you should be able to do this for quite an extended period of time. So maybe you would want to burn burns until you have two spice pieces, maybe even three spice pieces. And then that way you just enter endgame with a bit more assurance that you would finish with an incredible. Um, Actually, on that note, uh, oftentimes distillers at the top level, we carry this notion that amongst the best of us, we are already at the skill cap and it's purely up to RNG. Honestly, I used to believe this as well. In fact, I've told distillers on numerous occasions that if you're ultimate, then you are also already number one because there isn't really a difference. Eventually, you will catch that lucky white spawn. Eventually, you would surpass the incumbent number one. Uh, but recently, as I've started to explore this burn thing, um, it kind of feels like we haven't been doing everything we could. So we can't say we've reached the skill cap. And by extension, I think we should see the number one score going um, higher, maybe sooner than we think. Um, yeah, okay. Anyway, coming back to this board. So for this spice piece, perhaps we would have seen it regardless of whether we played the Burning Burns, because we went through so many columns. But I think safe to say without Burning Burns, you would have seen this one, right? Um, so yeah, I'm not actually going to finish this session. This was just to ramble a bit about my current thoughts on this.